So in this third video in the series, I thought I'd talk about the next major project after the flight room. So when the flight room was built, the simulator was pretty stable for a while. I flew it quite a lot. I was pretty happy with it. It was flying well. It was stable now, so it didn't have to be carried down from the top of the wardrobe every time I wanted to use it, and it meant that I was able to use it more, to get more fun out of it. But eventually a few things came together. I think I'd said earlier in the videos that I am actually never happier than when I'm fiddling with the simulator. And it wasn't the simulator itself this time that actually triggered the project. It was the launch of the Oculus Rift virtual reality. And I started to test the water on flying with virtual reality. It was pretty basic at the time. You had to use a separate program called Fly Inside to fly with either Prepared 3D or X-Plane. It was a pretty basic experience, but I thought it actually was, again, quite immersive. And I've spoken a few times about how immersion was one of the underriding goals of my experience with the simulator. But in order to use the virtual reality outside the flight simulator, it needed a lot more room. And there simply wasn't the room in the box room, in the flight room, to use it effectively. It simply wouldn't let you set it up. And it had fixed sensors, so the sensors had to be in one room or the other. You couldn't easily move them around the house. I wrestled with this for a while and initially didn't really have a plan, but eventually I got the inkling of an idea around whether I could actually get the simulator to move in and out, to pack away and create more space on the floor in the box room. I was a bit nervous about dismantling the simulator. It was actually quite stable. I was enjoying flying it at the time, but as you'll see from the later projects, that didn't last very long, and I decided to start to research how I could dismantle it and rebuild it in a more mobile way. I did a lot of research, and that again is a recurring theme of a lot of my projects, so I take a lot of time in the thinking. Quite often if I'm buying something, I will put it in my basket, say on Amazon, and it'll stay there for a while, then it'll come out again, go back in again. My wife probably knows each time that eventually I'm going to buy it, but it takes me a while to work up to actually biting the bullet on the project. And on this one I was also researching how the simulator could be stable and movable. So I came up with the idea that I could maybe put it on casters, but some initial kind of testing showed that it just wasn't really stable. It didn't roll easily in and out, and it wouldn't have been stable enough to fly on. And so with lots of research I came up with a slider. It was a slider for designed for drawers, actually, on fire engines, I think. So you know the accessory drawers where they store tools and the hoses, a really heavy duty slider. And I bought that. It took a couple of weeks to come, but it was perfect. And here you can see the base was starting to take shape, and the idea was a solid base secured to the wall and the floor, around which there would be a frame on 4 casters, with the casters at the front having a locking mechanism so that when it rolls out it would be stable enough to fly with. Not satisfied with that as the project, I also decided at the same time that I would bring in a second computer. So I mentioned in the earlier video that I've now got two computers, one running the main simulator and the other one running air traffic control, weather, and the panels remotely. So this was the point the second computer got introduced to the simulator. So this was probably one of the major upgrades that I would do. You can see here how it's starting to take shape. So I've built the frame, built the outer caster frame, and now you can see it actually slides on the slider, and it's just stabilized by the side the edge panels. And here you can see another picture of it where it's actually pretty much finished. I sprayed and painted the bottom black, which really helped it to blend in. I think that for me that has made one of the biggest differences to the flight room. It means that I can now use the flight room for VR. It means I can use it for these videos, and the simulator can be packed away and rolled out as I need it. I do wonder whether this is the third video, whether these are adding value. I'm quite enjoying doing them. I think for me it's been an interesting voyage of discovery to go back over some of these projects and just recount how I got to them and what it was that I wrestled with when I was doing them. But I wonder whether it is actually interesting to watch. So I welcome any comments that you might have. I welcome any suggestions about what it might be useful to do videos on in future episodes. Well, I've got for you today, and I'll catch you next time.